What's up, everyone? 95 Plus Podcast, Lem Butler here. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, GH Grinding and Brewing Solutions. Everything you need to know about grinding and brewing coffee, please reach out to them. They're all about trust, reliability, and innovation. GHGBS.com. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, with that being said, as we proceed to give you what you need, it's another episode of the 95 Plus Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Ragler. I'm joined here with Lem Butler. Oh, come on, you can't do that. You can't do that. I kept it smooth.
You did keep it smooth. I was like, where's it?
I'm not trying to lobby no more. That was already on an episode. My hair's gone.
That boy good.
That boy good. That's the new Instagram handle, but I'm here. I'm vibing. It's calm. We're in very high spirits. It's been a very
that boy good.
Yeah. Red. Oh my God, he go be a fool this whole episode. Bro, we're in high spirits, man. It's been a great couple of weeks. We haven't been with y'all in a little bit. We've had a pretty wild journey. We've done a lot of traveling together recently.
Yeah, a lot to talk about.
Yeah, man. You brought me to Africa.
I know, right?
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, man.
Have you been outside of the country like that before? You went to Dominican.
Yeah, I've been to DR. I've been to Bahamas. I've done like the vacation-y kind of things.
With Rihanna. Word.
I wish. I did meet her once though.
Did you?
I did meet her once.
That's what's up.
I was
not in the Bahamas though.
No, in New York. I was working at the Levi's store in Soho. It's like 11, 12 years ago, something like that. And she was in Soho. Walked through her area and I was lost it because it's Rihanna. But yeah, no. So it was my first time going on a trip that was where I was actually like really in the country that I was in for most of the time. So that was dope.
So what was the trip?
Yeah.
You want me to talk about it? You want to talk about it?
Yeah. You start them off because I'm sure I'm gonna get on the story rants. So I'm trying to let it lead there naturally because Doug, I got so much to talk about. But give them the rundown.
All right. So well, first of all, we got to shout out GH Grinding and Brewing Solutions because they're sponsoring the podcast this season. Can you even call it a season? I don't know.
I mean,
the next few podcasts.
Season, yes, sir.
But yeah, shout out to GH Grinding Brewer Solutions. All your brewing needs, you just hook them up, hit them up. Josh was on the show.
Yes, he was. He was.
But yeah, got to shout them out. Gary Horn, Travis. Thanks, y'all. But yeah, the trip, this was the Barista Exchange. This was something, crafted by Bartholomew Jones. Bartholomew, he's the...
better known as?
Coffee Black.
Yes, sir.
He and his wife, Renata, started this organization, Coffee Black, and the Anti-Gentrification Coffee Club. Not a coffee shop. This is a club to, introduce the Black community to specialty coffee in Memphis, Tennessee. And, he had this idea years ago to establish an all-Black coffee supply chain from Memphis to Ethiopia, and he did that. And in that process, he shot a documentary and toured the U.S. showing this documentary, bringing awareness to this concept. This was it blew my mind that he was able to do that. And during that process, he was like, well, what if we brought a few Black baristas from the U.S. to Africa to experience what he experienced, but not only Ethiopia, but also Rwanda. So he asked me to be on the advisory board, along with like Twiz. Shout out to Twiz. Shout out to Prop. Prop was also on the advisory board as well. And along with Bart and Renata, we vetted 25 applicants, I believe, and narrowed it down to 4 to get them, all expense paid journey to experience coffee the traditional way in Ethiopia, as well as the modern way that Ethiopia has embraced, and then taking them over to Rwanda to experience coffee and kind of understand coffee before colonialism. Had a great team of baristas. There was actually an extra slot. So I was like, yo, what's up?
You
want to go?
You're going to tell that story and you're going to leave out the most important pieces of how this actually came together. So
what's the important pieces?
The important pieces is you set me up on a dummy mission that week, man. So all right. So no one wants to actually talk about this, but I guess it's time to get a real story.
What's this dummy mission?
So boom. So Lem comes to me maybe like 2-3 weeks before the trip's supposed to happen. Hey, a slot opened up. One of the instructors are dropping out. Would you like to go on the trip? I'm like, huh? Because you don't just get up and just pick up and just go to Africa. At least that's just not something I ever thought was just like realistic. Like, cool, I'll just pack my bag, because the Ethiopia portion of the trip was like a week and change away at that point. I was like, I might have some stuff going on like work-wise that I can't really dip out of, but if I can make it work, maybe. Let's circle back. So about a week later, some things kind of fell in place. And at this point in time, it was still possibly I could go. And I was like, cool, let's bring it up to our team in black and white. If they're cool with it and it works for them, I'll go. I was expecting somebody to say no because holiday season, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, big, like most busy time of the year. It's also when people start to like, oh, hey, well, now that things are wrapping up for the year, I should probably get all these things fixed with my machine that I've been ignoring for the whole year. So I usually get bombarded with nonsense the whole like last 2 months of the year and like the first month of the year. So I was just expecting it to be like, I don't know, maybe. And I was still like, cool, I'm not going. I never really set my mind to going at the time that this conversation happened with the table of people at our team. It was 2 days from when everyone was leaving for Ethiopia and 9 days from when they would make it to Rwanda. So in my mind, it still wasn't happening. Whole table was like, yeah, this makes sense. He should go. Wasn't expecting that. Cool, okay, I guess I'm going. 10 minutes after everybody has said, yeah, I guess I'm going, the itinerary is sent to me. So I went from, I might be going to Rwanda to my flight is booked in like the span of 30 minutes. It came home to a shitstorm thanks to that one. I came home like, hey, y'all.
Guess what?
My flight's booked. I'm leaving in 9 days.
To be gone for 10.
That didn't go over too well. If y'all was wondering where this went, that was that week. For those of y'all that listen to us on Spotify or Apple, this I was pointing to was my hair. Yeah, I went real Britney Spears that weekend. Perfect timing for the tornado to start hitting too. Like I could hear it in the background, and I'm like,
we did get a tornado warning today.
This story got real ominous. But yeah, so that's part one. I was in a lot of trouble when I got home.
Yeah, my fault.
Part two is
my bad.
It's all good, man. Part two is what I expected to have the entire month of November to get done work-wise has now been relegated to I need to figure it out within 9 days because I can't just leave stuff undone as far as tech services and whatnot. So I spend the next 9 days running like an absolute bat out of hell. Just let me fix this. Let me go bring this person this machine. Yeah. Let me go install this. Let me add this part to the machine that we've been waiting on, and just like flying around and then get home and be like, all right, cool. Now I need to figure out how to pack for Africa. I've never been there. Just completely flying all over the place, just in my brain. And it didn't calm down for me mentally until I was getting on the first flight from DC to Brussels. So I have, prior to this trip, the longest flight that I've ever taken is the New York to Cali flight, which is 6 hours. Whether it's LA or Oakland, it's 6 hours. I had to take a flight from North Carolina to DC to get the DC flight that takes us to Europe. And so it was a 1 hour flight to DC, 6 hour layover, and then a 10-hour flight from DC to Brussels. So it was my first time being on a really long flight, a flight that like served food and do all the things like that.
They served food
like
like twice.
Big. Yeah, they served food like it was a lot of like firsts for me.
Yeah.
But that was cool. Slept most of it. Wasn't too bad other than the fact that it was cold and I get cold really easily. If you can't tell, I wear sweaters almost year round because I don't do well with the cold. But after I get off this flight is around the time that Lem and I finally connect. And I would love for you to tell the people our lovely experience.
Oh, in Brussels?
In the Brussels airport
we had
at 7 in the morning. No, the first one.
Yeah, we had two experiences in Brussels and they were like completely different. So if you've ever flown to Brussels with your final destination somewhere in Africa, then you can relate to the story. You probably understand the story.
You said you can relate to this story and like chose a scenario that like hits maybe 3 people.
Yeah.
You said if you ever specifically flown to Brussels and then
from there to Africa.
Like if you were diagnosed with mesothelioma, like you just picked like 6 people.
So if you're listening, shout us out in the comments and say, yeah, I was there. All right. So, I've been to a lot of airports and in developing worlds. But this is not a developing world. This is Brussels, right? Belgium. So I was expecting
waffles.
Come on now.
I mean,
waffles and Brussels sprouts. Come on.
I mean, yeah.
Anyway, so I was expecting your typical, European airport. We get there, we link up, and we're going to the terminal that all the African flights fly out of in Brussels, and we get there, and it went from being bright to not as bright. There's like this like flickering light somewhere off in the distance, but I didn't really think anything of it. I had my eyesight on these neon lights that said bar, and I think it was like a restaurant because I was hungry. So we're headed in that direction, and I'm not really paying attention to my surroundings. The terminal seemed kind of barren. We saw a Starbucks. We passed a Starbucks, which is typical, and we're getting closer and closer to those neon lights, and there's this wall of security. And I'm like, wait a minute. Nah. So we keep going and we get closer and like, oh, we can't go through there. And the food is on the other side. And I'm like, okay, so we're in an African terminal. There's no restaurants here. And then off to the side, there's another like little cafe bar. But the bar is split by this wall. So on the other side of the wall, where all the European flights depart from, they had a manual espresso machine. The bar was kind of nice. But on our side of the wall, they had a super automatic. And the barista was kind of ignoring us. So we're looking at these pastries and like, because that's our only option. And I'm like, damn, this is jacked up. And then I start looking at the terminal. It's like, there's nothing in here. There's half of a cafe. There's the Starbucks. And then between those two is a vending machine. There's a vending machine.
What's in the vending machine, man?
But there's no food or snacks in the vending machine. It's all drugs. It's a freaking pharmacy. Vending machine of drugs. So in the African terminal in Brussels, there's Starbucks, there's half of a cafe, and a vending machine with drugs. That was it.
Yeah.
There was nowhere to buy water, snacks, nothing. There's Starbucks, half a cafe, drugs.
So I ain't gonna say the joke that I said at
No, you should.
7:30 in the morning.
Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna bypass that one because I don't want to have to edit this later. But let's just say I
And the
found that
flickering
very
light.
interesting. Oh yeah, and the flickering light.
Oh, they did have a VIP section, but you had to have
It was like Air Brussels, like something.
Yeah,
Like it was
it's
like
the
they the only
gold club,
Yeah.
platinum club for like whatever.
Yeah, but there wasn't really enough space on that side for me to expect it to be too much in there either.
But coming from Rwanda,
he skipped the whole trip to be able to tell this.
Well,
part of the story.
I gotta paint the picture of the two sides of this terminal that was split with the security wall. So coming back from Rwanda, we went to the same terminal, and now we're on the other side of the wall. There's a food court. There's
a shopping center.
There's a shopping center.
Wasn't there like a Legoland or something?
There's a Legoland.
Yeah, man.
There's duty free. There's like there's a bar. There's all kinds of shit. And then there was that wall again. And on the other side was where we were going at the beginning of our trip. So yeah, that's Brussels.
So yeah, so
shout out to Brussels. Word,
Yeah,
y'all do it right.
That was right wing. Yeah. So all right. So boom, that happens. That is our experience in the Brussels airport.
7:30 in the morning.
7:30 in the morning. I am already not doing my best because I've never done a 10-hour flight before. I'm just like, okay. So I'm kind of like limping around the airport because for some reason now my right foot just decides it doesn't want to work anymore. So I'm just like, okay, this kind of sucks. I gotta like tough it out. We got this next flight to get on. Man, so we get on this next flight and it's another 10-hour flight. And we're sitting away from each other at this point because tickets were obviously bought at different times. So I'm in the back.
Way in the back.
Way in the back.
I didn't even see you. You just kind of disappeared.
I was waiting.
I thought you just walked off the plane.
No.
I hope I see him in Kigali.
So I'm back there. And my routine for flights is really easy. Like, if I got Wi-Fi, I'll social media surf, do some work. I got my AirPods in, I'll play my music. And I got a charger and I'll just like swap between if I need to charge my phone, if I need to charge my AirPods, whatever. Fall asleep. Real easy. That works for domestic American flights where like for the most part 6 hours is kind of my max, right? I'm on this flight. I'll fall asleep, wake back up, think say 8 hours and 35 minutes to go. I'm like, I'll fall back asleep. So
I was watching movie after movie after movie.
And I had no Wi-Fi back there.
Really?
Like,
you didn't get the headphones?
No.
Movies?
So that's the thing. Like I would do it on like my thing. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that
the big screen in front of your face?
I'm not really the biggest movie person. Like I have to be really invested. Like this is a movie I want to watch.
They had like 100 movies on there.
I don't be looking at those on the airplane. I'll be thinking I got what I'm looking for on my phone.
Word.
So once I had no Wi-Fi, I was just like,
missing out.
Gen Z right here.
Yeah, so once I realized I had a
Classic.
Wi-Fi, I said, all right, I'm going to just play music and try to sleep through the flight. And that worked to varying degrees. Whatever, boom. So we get off the flight. We're in Kigali. It's, 8:30, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, it was late.
Yeah.
The group was at dinner.
Yeah, they were
so
at
we got
dinner.
picked up.
We got picked up. And then we get there. We get to the hotel. And we was like, both kind of tired. We were just like, man, let's just go to the, hotel restaurant, get some food.
Yeah, because we didn't eat in Brussels. I'm still hungry. I don't really eat airplane food because I've learned the hard way.
Not to eat
Because
airplane food.
it doesn't work with the bubble guts.
Yeah. You don't want that on the plane. That'd be, in a confined space that you can't escape. Yeah, that'd be real bad, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Thank
Bubble
God I
guts.
ain't never.
Yeah.
Thank God I ain't never.
You
But
know,
yeah. So
I'm hungry.
we hungry, right?
Hungry. Really hungry. Because we didn't eat in Brussels.
So we go to the airport. Not the airport. We go to the hotel restaurant. We ordered some food, man.
No, we ordered some steaks.
Yeah, we did. But it's not. I'm not even getting on what the food was at the moment. I'm just getting on. We did that at like 10:15 their time. 10:15 their time was 7 hours from where our family is. So it's 3:15 for them. 10:15 p.m.
No, it was earlier. It was earlier, wasn't it? Like 9.
No. We got there like 9. So I had to be like, okay, maybe like 9:45, 10ish. Like we went straight to it. Like we dropped our bags, went straight to eat. Man, so we sitting there. It's like 11:30, and we still waiting for our food. And everybody that is part of the trip is coming back from their dinner that they went to because we're meeting them on the second leg of the trip. They're like, "Oh, hey, everybody, Anthony, you cut your hair? What the fuck?" But pleasantries, yeah, yada yada yada. Then they're like, "Yeah, man, we're tired. We're gonna go to sleep. We'll see y'all in the morning." So now it's like 11:55, and we sitting here waiting for our food, and we ordered this like
2 hours ago.
Yeah, and I'm just like, did they go catch the food? Because it's just no way. Like, I'm gonna make this, and then somewhere around like 12:15, 12:20, we get our food, eat our food. Cool, it's time to go to bed, right? Go to sleep. My internal clock is just not here yet. So I wake up around like 3:30, and I get a FaceTime coming through to me. It's, like what, 7, 8-ish or something back home. It's a tech call. I got to fix a machine while I'm in Rwanda over the phone, guys. And I'm like, this sucks. Do that. So I'm sitting there fixing machines at 4 a.m. Our call time for the first day is like 8 something. And I'm just like, I have no idea how I am going to regulate to the time zone that we are in right now.
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah.
So first I got to apologize for throwing you, the trip at last minute. I'm kind of used.
I'm so glad I went though.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to, just being able to jump and go. So I didn't take that into consideration that not everybody can just drop everything at last minute and go. I have toned that down a lot because of kids and family and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was just kind of used to that. So my bad. No, you could tell them to blame me. It's totally my fault.
Oh no, they know what happened. It didn't change, and I was still under fire. What y'all want me to do? I didn't book it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm supposed to say I can't go now after the flight's already booked.
Yeah, that was the first time that I'd been that far in a while.
Mm-hmm. Without everybody, or just in general?
Just in general, because I went to Colombia in September, but that's not that big of a deal flight wise. But yeah, just picking up and being able to go across the water, it takes mental preparation. It takes preparation in general, just knowing what to bring, stuff like that. But yeah, I wasn't fully, I guess, mentally prepared or physically prepared, because once we got there, Rwanda is already at elevation. So the capital is at like 4,000 plus feet above sea level. And then going up to farms, we were going like 6,000 to 7,000 feet above sea level. So that adjustment is always tough for me. Dehydration, headaches, stuff like that. So I wasn't really prepared, and I have to drink twice the amount of water there than I do here in order to combat that. And yeah, I just didn't mentally prepare for all that. So it was a struggle in the beginning.
Yeah, as the person that has never done that type of trip, there is a route that you can go to be successful with this without, mentally and physically preparing. And it is called having no fucking idea what you're doing. I just showed up and was like, I guess this is what we're doing, guys. Like the whole trip, I'm just like bro, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's good to have that we had an itinerary because because we just kind of these are the times and
cool.
show
You
up.
need me to be where, when? Okay, cool. I'll figure it out.
But we had some cool. We did some cool stuff.
We had a lot of great experiences. That first day, that coffee crawl was really dope.
Yeah.
We
went to the best coffee shops in the capital
for sure.
Because there was one around the corner from the hotel that was not on the list, and we checked it out, and it was very subpar.
With the exception of
the breakfast.
No. I still got to give them that espresso tonic. That espresso tonic.
Oh
was fire.
Espresso tonic was pretty.
That
good.
Espresso tonic was
but I mean,
fire.
Yeah.
The rest of their breakfast was amazing though. And that's why we all went there like 3-4 times.
Yeah, but the coffee itself.
Yeah.
The coffee crawl we went on was dope. Shout out to Kivu, Noir, Eno.
Eno was God.
Eno, yeah. It's really cool to sit in a cafe drinking some amazing coffees, Rwandan coffees, of course. And that's another thing too. Like a lot of places I've been, all the best coffee is exported.
Mm-hmm.
And then the host country just keeps the garbage. But Rwanda was different. They had some really baller coffees on the bar, and then we're sitting there drinking these amazing coffees. And then this young guy walks in, and he's like, "Yo, what do you think about the coffees? They're amazing. Those are mine. I'm the farmer." I'm like,
that dope experience.
What?
That's
pretty cool.
I will say this is one of the things that I do want to challenge on. I guess this is one of the debriefing, workshopping things that I've been doing about this trip is I kind of want to push back on the notion that the best coffees don't get to stay in producing countries.
All right, push.
Because one of the things that we and we'll go way more in depth into this as we talk about our trip is there's a lot of extremely dope stuff that's happening at farm level and at origin that, especially on the Africa side, that just because it's not being communicated in the way that translates to the way that we talk about coffee over here doesn't mean it's not happening. You know, like that, like the conversation we're having about anaerobically processed coffees and the farmers in Ethiopia, like, we've been doing this for centuries. Like, it's just now becoming popularized and brought back to us like, oh, hey, y'all should do this. And it's like, yeah, we have. You know, like, I don't think it's that the best coffees aren't making it out. It might be, I don't think that the best coffees are only making it out. I do think that there are some great coffees that aren't being explained in that same nuanced way due to lack of access, lack of willingness to take the time to understand people. Because that's really what I think was one of the biggest takeaways for me. To just not be there with an agenda. Like, I wasn't there on black and white detail. I wasn't there to source coffees. I was there to just experience and just take in what was happening around me. It helped me reinforce a lot of my own knowledge in coffee that I've in a lot of places doubted, or in a lot of places felt like I wasn't as adequate because I'm just exposed to so many great professionals at this, that I was able to kind of just pick up and be like, oh wait, one, I actually do understand everything that's going on here. And two, oh damn, this is exactly what we're looking for, but people aren't coming back saying this is even happening here. And then that's how you end up finding dope ones like the honey from Eno or like the anaerobic from Kivu.
Well, that's why I said Rwanda is an exception, because in Costa Rica, every cafe I went to, horrible coffee. In Nicaragua, same thing. I only saw amazing coffees in the cafes in Panama, and these were cafes owned by farmers.
Right.
I only saw amazing coffees in Brazil, in Espírito Santo, where farmers were roasting their own coffee. In Ethiopia, even with the Ethiopian coffee ceremonies, those coffees were amazing. But the coffees on the modern side in the cafes were not. So it's just been this trend. And even in Colombia before my September trip, it was the same thing. Coffees in Bogota in the cafes were not that great. But at the convention center, the expo, they were amazing. And then in September, I went to a couple of cafes that were run by the exporter, and those coffees were banged. You know, so I'm seeing this change of amazing coffees sticking around in country.
But the part of why I push back on that is you just brought up all the places that you are having that at are like all of the cafes that you were having those experiences at are the places where that lapse in communication can't happen because they're run by an exporter or they're run by the farmer, so on and so forth. If you are, just a cafe that does not have a relationship to a farm that is getting your coffee in some roundabout way that isn't keeping you in the loop of what's going on, it makes it a lot easier to just like be getting coffee for the sake of getting coffee. I think that in those spaces in which you're getting to see people at the beginning of their process be like, hey, no, go with this. This is what we want to see here. You start to see that experience just increase.
But they always, in these cafes, will claim, okay, this is the best coffee because it's from Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
And then you taste it and it's like, no, I've had better coffees.
Mm-hmm.
In Jamaica, it's the same thing. It's like, oh, this is Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee.
So the train
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Jamaican Blue Mountain. There's only one Blue Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Blue Mountain range, but there's only one Blue Mountain.
Right.
And not all of the coffees in Jamaica are Jamaican Blue Mountain, and they're not certified.
Right.
But they'll claim it is, and they'll claim that it's the best.
Because to the untrained eye, it is. Like we've had the conversation of the people that go out to origin or go out to these countries and go, the best coffee I've ever had is when I was in this place because I was in the mountains and da-da-da-da. And it's not the best coffee that you had, but that's the vast majority of people that have that experience. So what you're doing is having your trained eye, you being the person that has been in this industry as long as you have, you can spot the difference and go, that's not what that is. But more people are going to fall in line with the narrative that's being told to them, that this is the best coffee they can get because they're having it here. And they're going to believe it when they leave too.
I can see that.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
As those consumers start to train their palates and they start going back, they're going to understand what I'm talking about.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I definitely believe that. But I do think that part of what can avoid them from even having that experience is if we start giving a little bit more credence to the fact. And like, I think
and it also goes back to that disconnect between both ends of that value chain, because the majority of coffee producers, after they sell their coffee or their coffee cherries, they have no idea what happens to that coffee. Just like a lot of baristas, they put all this time and effort into producing this awesome cup, but they have no idea about that value chain and where that coffee comes from.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going to go, where I think that if more emphasis is put on not just telling the stories about the quote unquote highest point coffees or telling the stories about the coffees that sound like they have the best narrative behind them, and getting people to just fully immerse in the product and fully immerse in what it is that the farmers, the creators of this product, want us to know about it, and not what story is being told after it's been translated 5 or 6 times. By the time it gets to the user in the Western world, we would start finding out that there's way more gems out there than we give credit for.
True.
That's the thing that I started to notice. Where I was like, no, like that honey from Eno might be top 2 coffees I've had this year. Like, I feel about that honey process similar to how I felt about a Snockage, which is the coffee I used in Denver. Top 2, like straight like that.
Yeah.
And that's not I'm in the mountains of, no, Cafe Eno is like a little sliver.
Yeah.
In the trap pretty much.
In
like
one of the busiest streets.
Yeah, we was like, I was scared as hell.
Like right outside the door was like zoom, 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 motorcycles and taxi. Yeah.
And that's going to be the next thing we get into once I finish saying this thing about that coffee. But like, no, like that coffee was that good in that moment, to the point where I was completely coffee fatigued, to the point where like I didn't drink coffee at a couple of the cafes that we went to prior to. And then that was the last stop we went to. And the baristas was just coming out, just bringing us pour over after pour over after pour over. So I was like, my palate was fatigued. I was just like, I don't know. And then that coffee came across the table and like everyone in unison was like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? Like, it was that good.
Yeah. And that was the beauty of that trip too, because it, a lot of coffee professionals go to Origin and they meet farmers and then that's it. But this trip brought Black coffee professionals to Black farmers and there was an exchange of information. There was this excitement from coffee producers like, oh, you came all the way here to see me. That is amazing that you did that. And these baristas were like, yes. Not only that, but we want to share our experience back in the States as Black coffee professionals.
And Bartholomew did a great job of getting people across the spectrum of experiences within coffee. Like it wasn't like
18 years, a couple of years.
Yeah, it was like 18 years, 2 years, 9 years, 4 years. Like it was really dope. Roaster, tech, barista, salesperson, like all the trainer, all the things. Like
but it was everyone's first time.
Exactly.
Yeah. First time in Africa, first time at a coffee producing country, and they went to 2. And yeah, once you go to, for me, my first time going to see a coffee producing country, it put what I was doing at the bar in context. And I saw that entire value chain and my place in that chain and how I can grow in that chain.
Yeah. So before we start jumping into visiting the farms and like the next set of experiences we had, I'm going to pivot off of coffee for like 2 seconds because we brought this up about us being inside an Eno Cafe. If there's one thing that I'm going to walk away from my trip in Rwanda is I'm nowhere near, and most of the people in the West are nowhere near as good of drivers as they think they are. Because Rwanda ain't nothing but fucking mountains that you could fall off at any given time that have
Land of 1,000 hills is what they
it's
call
called
it.
The Land of 1,000 Hills for a reason. There's pedestrians, there's people walking, there's people on bikes, there's freaking livestock, cattle all through the roads. And the speed limit is fuck it, just don't kill no one.
Yeah.
Rwanda got it, bro. I was sitting there the whole time like I have no desire to ever drive here.
Yeah.
Like we were coming out of Eno, and now mind you, it's like what, 12 of us all together, like the whole group, the tour guide, everybody, So
there was a little more organization to it than Kenya. Nairobi, and you'll see Wags, Nairobi is wild.
Dog. When I tell you.
And in Rwanda, you can ride on the motorcycles, taxis.
We're going to get there
but
too.
But in Nairobi, do not get on a motorcycle taxi because you may not make it back from wherever they take you.
Dog. So we're leaving Eno, and we all get back on the bus, and the bus is backing out. Like I said, this is like the busiest street ever. Like it's just hundreds and hundreds of people out there. Road like this small, and it's like the road is like this small, and then the sidewalk is a dirt road. So like you don't even really know what is and isn't the road. And we reversing off this mug, and people just walking behind the bus. Like I'm sitting here like, I'd have GTA'd half of this.
And
like
Peace
this is terrible.
Like, I was like, P, so you just back up in the middle of the street, in the middle of traffic? Yeah, if we don't, then they won't let us out. It's like, word, all right.
I'm like, what the?
I get it. And we were in a big bus. So if you hit it with your motorcycle, hey, all right.
But it wasn't even the motorcycles that was tripping me out. It was just the people that just seen the bus backing up just like, all right.
Yep.
Like,
it's almost like everyone's tapped into the matrix and they know exactly, how much time they have to get in front of this vehicle or behind this vehicle or back up or stop. It's wild.
So I'm gonna give
everyone's in tune.
So I'm gonna give y'all the mindset of the New Yorker experiencing this. So in New York,
this is what I'm wondering.
Yeah. So in New York, right? All right. So it's a New Yorker's wet dream to get hit by a bus. Cause if you survive, you were rich.
Oh, that ain't happening.
Like in New York, if you just walk the streets in New York for like a whole 12 hours, you will probably hear a conversation that goes like this at least 3 or 4 times. Loud ass car honk because someone was walking the street. What you gonna do? Hit me, bitch. Bitch, I'll hit you. Like literally, it'll sound just like that. No change. Like at least 3 or 4 times a day. Because New Yorkers, pedestrians rule the road and they want to get hit. Because they're like, either you're going to stop because I decided I'm walking across the street. And if you don't, that lawsuit is going to be beautiful. Like, that's New York for you.
Yeah.
Because I know that is not the context of the situation that we are currently in. I am just not understanding how no one is afraid of the ramifications of this bus at any given moment.
Because they know they ain't getting paid.
But like that just further inclines me to not get hit by it. Because in New York, the logic is this inconvenience is worth getting out of my financial situation because you are getting paid for it. You get hit by an MTA, but good. You're good for life. And in 1 year, you're good for life.
Not Rwanda.
Right. So I'm just
You're
out
gonna be
there.
hurt and broke.
So I'm just out there watching all this like
financially and physically broke.
Struggling. So I'm out there just like, this is nuts, man.
And there was a lot of motorcycles, a lot of motorcycle taxis. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You rode one, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, I did. We can get into that. I mean, we're now jumping out of the chronological
all
order
over the
of this
place,
trip.
but, yeah.
But so we were actually invited to a traditional Rwandan wedding.
We went to a wedding, yo.
Which was really, really dope. That was hella dope. Except I didn't understand a single word that was going on. I needed the words with the bouncing ball that they, that's, I didn't know what was being said. Like the people that spoke English in that building was the people we came with and Samai, like in the list, right? But one of our cohort mates, she just fell really ill. That's a thing that happens on these trips. And I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go pick you up like the medicine you need. Like, I got you, don't worry about it. No big deal. I go to the lady at the front desk at the hotel. She's like, cool, I'll call one of the bike taxis for you. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. The dude shows up. He's like, all right, put your feet like right here. Shows me where I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, put this helmet on. Put the helmet on. And my family likes to joke, but I don't really have
He's got a little head.
Right? I don't really have a big head. I would have had more.
My 10-year-old's head is bigger than
I'd
his.
have had more space to fill this joint out if I still had my locks, but I don't. So I'm like,
he shops
cool.
in the kids' hat section.
I don't shop in the kids. You talking crazy. But so now I'm like, all right, cool. Let me tighten this joint so that I could, and it don't move.
His head shrunk when he cut his dreads.
So I can't tighten the helmet, but I've now put my feet in the position that dude told me to go. And he just, I'm like, whoa. So we're driving. I'm just like, he's like, yo,
they don't look like they're going that fast until you get on them.
Yeah. No, but he was holding it down though. But in my brain, all I'm thinking is, he only got to make one mistake. He only got to do one thing wrong, and I'm flying. And mind you, this helmet is rattling across my head like I'm just like, what the? Ding, 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 ding. Cool. Get the trip, go get the medicine, come back. Did the whole trip. The conversion rate for what that round trip from the pharmacy to the ATM and all that turned out to, and it was like a 15-minute ride each direction. The conversion rate was $1. I was just like, if I'd have died over $1 because this thing is going on.
I've adopted a philosophy when traveling. When you feel you are unsafe, you are the most safest you could possibly be. But when you feel comfortable and safe, that's when you are the most unsafe you could possibly be. Mm. So don't ever feel comfortable.
He said, don't ever
safe.
feel safe. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Oh, man. Which then leads to our actual real near-death experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we went to, it rained a lot, which, was surprising. I guess, I don't know. I got mixed messages that it wasn't supposed to be raining a lot. It was supposed to be raining a lot, but it rained when we went out and saw stuff. So we went to this is a second farm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the second farm. First farm we went to was great. It rained, but it was great. It was all women co-op.
Mm-hmm.
Really dope. The second farm we went to, so Kivu Noir, the young guy who started those cafes, his family owns several farms. So we went to see one of those farms, very, very high elevation. And we went down to the washing station to see the last processing of their season was over, but they still had cherries on the tree, and they needed to harvest those cherries off the tree. And while they did that, we'll go ahead and process them. So we went down there to check that out. And then it started drizzling. Clouds started rolling in. It's like, all right, we know what's going to happen. The bus driver was like, yo, we have to leave now or we're going to get stuck. But
You about to actually tell the story? Yes, he is.
But we didn't. Bart.
Why didn't we leave, Lem?
Well,
Do tell.
someone said, yo, we should shoot a music video amongst the coffee. So they did. And it was dope. But it started raining harder and harder. And the whole time I'm thinking of what that bus driver said. It's like, yo, we're going to get stuck. We should leave now. So we get on the bus and we're on a steep incline. So we were at 7,000 feet and we went down 6,000 feet. So we had to go back up. And as we're going back up, this is not a road. This is like red African dirt.
You see this?
And
see this, baby?
Yo, you still got it on
Yeah,
you still got it on your Nikes,
babies.
man.
See,
Damn,
all over these.
wow, you brought Rwanda back with you, bro.
That's why I wanted it. I knew this story was coming at some point.
So and that African dirt, man, when it's dry, it's just like you slide on it anyway, you know. But now you've got this downpour of rain and this like river of water coming down this incline, and we're going up, and so we're sitting in the bus, and there's a van with us, and they're ahead of us, and we're watching this van kind of slide back and forth, the back of it, and to our left is a good 1,000, 2,000 foot drop. And the van, the back end starts sliding right over to there. And we're like, oh man, they're going to go over. they're going to go over. They're going to go over. And then it stops. So it's time to, and we stop. And I know for a fact that we're not going to go up after we start up again. And we didn't. So they asked us all to get off the bus and get on that van that was sliding back and forth. And they took us up the hill. Luckily, no one died, but the bus did get stuck. And the whole village came out and pushed the bus out in the rain, in the mud. It was wild.
It was wild. I will say, after the initial shock of all of it, and like after we got out the situation, it was one of the moments that made the trip very poetic.
Yeah,
because it was the like actual like personification of like community and everyone kind of coming together and playing a different role in making sure everyone got through this safely. And it ended up being kind of this thing we referred back to through countless other experiences on the trip that I really, really held on to. It's like, it's always easier to talk about any type of situation with a spin of humor. So like, yes, it was pretty funny to just be like, yo, this is like crazy. Like what? But then like really sitting with it's just like, this is also this beautiful moment of, oh, this is an experience that doesn't happen in a lot of our everyday lives. Like just seeing like no hesitation. Cool. We gonna figure this out together. We getting this up the hill. Almost to the point where I think I said to Bart at one point that I almost felt like this was secretly on the itinerary for us to almost fall off a mountain and he didn't tell us because this was just like too poetic of a moment and like it really like brought everybody closer in a way that I didn't see coming. Because I also felt like in some ways that I would kind of be the outsider of the trip. And what I meant by that isn't like, oh, that like no one was gonna like me or anything of that nature, but just like my entry point to being a part of this trip for everybody who's very unorthodox. I pulled up last minute, so I wasn't part of like the group, like talking, getting excited, preparing for the trip. I knew a couple of the people that were going already, but also they already were in Ethiopia pretty much by the point in time
like a whole week of bonding.
Yeah,
and I was worried about that too, but because whenever you trips like that, you form a bond with the people that you go with.
Yeah.
And they were in Ethiopia a good 8 days, experiencing things every single day together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was that initial shock that you had of showing up in Africa for the first time, at a coffee producing country for the first time. They had that together.
Right.
And so I was worried because I knew I wasn't going on that first leg, and I had to make that conscious decision. And one of my hangups was, well, if I show up in Rwanda, they're already going to have that bond. How is that going to play out? But I felt like, they kind of welcomed us into the group.
That's the answer to the question.
Yeah.
And how it plays out is they, as a collective, all were just like here for bringing us into that moment. Which I cannot say thank you to everybody that was on that trip enough. Sydney, Ladora, Philip, Lanisa, Bart, Renata, everybody. You feel me? Like Zion and Zaire.
Yeah.
Yo, Zion a trip, bro.
Wow.
I gotta check in on him because Nicki Minaj dropped an album. I know he happy as hell right now. I gotta message him in between episodes.
So here's where I can prove my philosophy on feeling unsafe. Because the bus driver, he made it worse when he said, I'm not driving any further.
He was like,
and so the driver of the van, he drove us up the hill, then he came back to get the bus out. Mm-hmm. And it was that moment where everybody felt worried and concerned. But we weren't in any danger because the entire village came out. They came out with shovels and they pushed, and everything is fine, And
but
no
what's
one
funny
off the
about
mountain.
this? What's funny about this theory, and also about how this situation went down, is the first day that we were there, because the near death experience of that farm was day 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And day 1, we're having a conversation on the bus, and somehow we're talking about that you remember that submarine mishap that happened a couple months back. And I just remember being like, and like on the bus, just being like, I would have never ended up in that situation because you could not have convinced me that was a good idea at any point in the like my brain goes, you just told me, let's get into this unsinkable ship to go view
an unsinkable ship.
The last unsinkable ship that sunk. You're not getting me there under any fucking circumstances.
And that backs up my theory because they felt comfortable enough to pay $200,000 to get into a tin can and go thousands of feet.
I'm saying, so everybody was sitting there talking about like, like what happens when you get there and you see that this thing is not that safe? I'm like, I would have never found out that thing wasn't safe because the idea doesn't sound appealing to me. So in that moment of me going, that don't even sound like something that sounds smart to do. I'd never do it. And here I am on the side of a fucking mountain about to fall off the map because I went, let's drive up this hill in the rain.
Hey, the bus driver did say, we should go.
He said we should go. And
because
we was like,
it's starting to rain and we might get stuck.
Duh.
And that wasn't the only time we got stuck.
Oh, no, that was the only time they got stuck. We didn't get stuck.
Well, we didn't get stuck.
We didn't get stuck.
So we went on safari on the last day. And of course it rained. And there was mud. And so before we got onto the thing, the guys at the camp were like, so do not get out of the truck in any circumstance, especially if you're surrounded by bushes, because that's where a lot of the predators like to hide when they're hunting. If you do have to get out and use the bathroom, make sure it's like a big open area and you just go behind the truck or whatever. Don't wander off. And so that stuck in my head because, I've been to a safari in Kenya, but this seemed a lot safer because we had like doors and windows. In Kenya, there was no doors, there was no windows. It was just open. And we were right beside lions, and I felt like at any moment, if they wanted to, they could just snatch one of us out. and they could have. Because they were as far as you and me, and they were just chilling. But, and this baffles me to this day. These were Toyota trucks with 4-wheel drive, and one got stuck in the mud. And it wasn't like heavy mud. It wasn't like mud that covered all the tires. It was just mud. And I'm looking at the truck, and it's just the back wheel spinning. I'm like, all right, he's going to throw it in 4-wheel drive and get out of this. But he never does. They get out of the truck. And we're surrounded by bushes, man. And they come to our truck, and they're like, so we're going to push this out. We need some people to help. I'm like, no, I'm not getting out of the truck. Put it in 4-wheel drive. And some people get out, and they're out there pushing the truck, and we're surrounded by bushes, man. I'm like, yo. But I felt unsafe. And when you feel unsafe, you're as safe as you could possibly be. So I still didn't get out of the truck.
Now here's the inverse to that feeling safe theory, because do we remember my perspective of this moment? So
you were asleep.
Yeah, no, exactly. We want to get there. So look. So we just finished. I don't know what the hell we was doing the night before. We did something.
Y'all went out?
No. We didn't go out the night before the safari. I think it was like the brew up or something like that. The day before the safari, we went out like maybe because we went out the night of the wedding. We went out the night of the wedding.
Okay, yeah, you went out. Yeah,
but we get back. It's like 8 something, and they're like, "All right, we gotta be outside, ready to get in the trucks at 4:30 a.m." So I went. Oh, there's no way in hell I'm gonna fall asleep fast enough. So I tap Philip. I'm like, my mans, can I borrow one? Can I get one of your melatonins? I need to go to sleep. He's like, I got you. Gave me a melatonin. I fell asleep. I didn't feel like I got induced to sleep. I just fell asleep. I woke up around 3, called the family, showered, did all the things, was outside, ready at 4:30 on the dot. Truck show up, get on the truck. By about 5:15, that melatonin finally kicks in. It worked on tape delay for some weird reason, and I was out, just smooth out. So I'm asleep. This is like a 3-hour drive to the safari. We had to take a stop for food or whatever. So I slept from like 5:15 to whenever we stopped for food. I ate food, got back on the truck, fell asleep again, woke up when we were at the thing, was there for the little beginning tour when they told us, hey, don't get out the truck when you start going. Got back in the truck, passed out. Next time I woke up, it was right after that truck had finally made it out of the mud, like from being stuck like 3 or 4 different times. So everyone looks at me like, yo, you slept through all that? I'm like, wait, I missed the animals? They're like, no. They all almost died. I'm like, oh. I was like, that's crazy.
I could just see, headlines. They were told not to get out of the truck.
I'm still in the car. Now we all make it out of there. And I fall back asleep again. I wake up, it's lunchtime. Like I've missed.
Yeah, we got chased by an elephant.
I got missed. Well, no. That was after lunch. But I missed like the first 60% of this safari trip because I was done for on that melatonin, dude. Like it was bad. And go eat. I'm up. I'm focused now. Ready to see the rest of this trip. After lunch, we get in the cars, start driving. We're going down this one-way dirt road. And some rangers pop out and they're like, turn around. Go the other way. And I'm like, why we gotta turn around? They're like, all right, so listen. So there's an elephant charging at y'all right now. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's cars behind the elephant coming your direction that's pushing him, which is why he's charging at us. So we're like, oh. So same truck that got stuck is in front of us again. And dude is trying to do like a 100-point K turn. Like he can't turn this thing for nothing. And all we see is this elephant getting closer and closer to their truck. And we're all in our car like, oh, that elephant's about to trample them up. They're done for.
They're about to get T-boned.
It's over.
By an
like
elephant.
they're done.
And this is an elephant that we saw before lunch. He was by himself. And one thing I learned in Kenya is if you see an elephant by himself, it's likely he's been kicked out of the tribe. And at any moment, he could just flip out and start charging you. But he was by himself just doing his thing, and we went on to lunch. But after lunch, apparently, there were 2 Jeeps coming, and he was in front of them. And then he sees 3 Jeeps in front of him. So he's like cornered. He's pissed now. And he starts picking up a little speed. And when they started doing that
turn, boy.
10-point turn, man. They were like this. I'm like, they're going to get T-boned by a freaking elephant. He just decided to drive into the bush.
Yeah.
And didn't get stuck, thank goodness.
He put it in 4-wheel drive that time.
And then the elephant just kind of trotted off. But yeah, that was a moment.
Yeah.
We got chased by an elephant.
Yeah, so
you see a lot of animals?
I seen some eventually.
Yeah.
Like I was dead most of that trip. Most of the safari trip I was done for. Like I've never seen a melatonin work on tape delay. But I lost my whole day. And then the worst part is I don't really do good. Hence the story I told you guys about my airplane routine. I don't really do good with idle time, like in a car or in any type of mode of transportation that I'm not controlling. Just because I don't like to sit still. And so like, for example, if I'm going on a flight or I'm going on something, I'll stay awake as long as I can leading up to travel so that I can just pass out during the travel if I'm not driving or whatever, right? So I done slept this whole day from like 5:15 a.m. till we're leaving the thing at like maybe like 4:30. And it's a whole 3-hour and change drive without traffic back to the hotel. And boy, we hit traffic. So it was like actually like 4.5 hours of us getting back. And I'm awake for the whole thing. And it feels like video games back in like the 80s where like they didn't really have the skill to design like different scenery. So like if you're like driving in like one of those games, it's really just a repeat of the same frame. So I'm just like staring outside. My phone is dead. I also don't have no service because I'm in freaking Rwanda. Just looking at like this mountain that I might fall off of. And the scenery has not changed for 4 hours. And I'm just going crazy in my mind because I'm wide awake right now because I've slept all day. I was struggling on the way back, dude.
Word.
So that was the last day of the trip?
Yeah, that was the last day of the trip.
Next day we had to get up and go to the airport.
Well, we had the whole day. We still got to go have some coffee and vibe out. And we also didn't talk about the brew down, which was really dope.
The brew down was great. That was I think we just threw it up on their social media, Kibu Noir social media, and of course Coffee Black social media. And we had a lot of baristas show up, and we had some brewing devices. Kibu Noir had some brewing devices. We brought some coffees from the U.S. and we brewed some of the Rwandan coffees that Kibu Noir had, and yeah, it was awesome. We brewed. Then some of the baristas, listened to some of our parameters that we were doing, and they try to mimic what we were doing, and then they started doing their own thing. It was a good exchange of, this is how we do it. And it kind of happened on the first day too, because we showed up at Kibu Noir. They had this awesome, tasting room in the back, and that's where we kind of hung out. And I was brewing coffee for everybody, and I kept going up front to the bar to borrow V60 filter. And I was like, well, since I keep borrowing stuff from them, I'm going to brew for the staff. And so I was up there brewing for the staff. And then the Rwandan barista champion who manages that shop, she came over, and then she brewed as well, and she was like, "Yeah, we do a 15-1. Like most folks here do 16-1." And so I tried her version of the coffee. She tried my version of the coffee. Of course, you can taste the 15-1. It was a little more concentrated, but that's how they do it in Rwanda, which was dope to see. And experience that. But that brew down was tight, man.
Dope,
yeah,
man.
It was really tight.
Just getting to meet a bunch of people that were just really excited to be around other coffee professionals that took it as serious. Because I think one of the things that I really got to see while I was out there is like, it's not unless you are a farmer, like not a farmer, unless you own a farm, like it's not really a lucrative thing to work in coffee out there in any capacity. There are so many people that's out there like working and just doing it strictly for the love of the game. Like they have so much fun doing this and like make it their socials, their entire kind of like public persona. Like they're just like, yo, I love to be a barista. So like getting to interact with people that were just that excited.
Yeah.
And like, I've talked a lot about how like for me, I'm not super like coffee wasn't what made me passionate about coffee. People was what made me passionate about coffee. So being in a space where these people were that passionate because of what was going on there. And like, this is them just sitting in and stepping into their purpose and just being like the happiest that they can be because they're around what they love and other people that understand what they love and why they love it. And are just like, just fully just here for the moment. Oh, that did everything for me. Like that was just cathartic as can be. So like, it was great. That was, whew.
Yeah, it was really inspiring seeing that sparkle, because, a lot of baristas, when they get into coffee, they'll get that sparkle because they want to learn as much as they can about what they're doing, and they want to be good at it. They want to be great at it, and they want to learn as much as possible. And, being in coffee 20 years, I feel like my sparkle has died a little bit, but it perks up when I am around people who are really excited about, coffee and what they're doing. And seeing these young, baristas and even roasters were on the scene too. And seeing their excitement about what they're doing, just kind of inspired me a lot to really push more and be involved more with the people side,
You just hit on something really important. Like when you're in this for a while, especially on this side of the value chain, it's hard to find that sparkle.
Yeah.
Outside of finding it for other people, when was the last time you felt like you had that sparkle?
Dude, like when we started this podcast, when I started this project with Steve in Colombia, when we started Black and White, seeing Black and White grow, adding more people to the staff who are excited about coffee. I mean, when we brought you in, dude, oh man, I was super stoked. Not because, you were going to do something for Black and White. It was more of like, okay, we're meeting our purpose. We're bringing curious people into this thing and providing an opportunity. When I go to competition and see baristas do well on stage, whether they win or not, when they walk off stage and they feel like they accomplished what they wanted to accomplish, when you see that excites me.
Right. I mean, I asked it to like for the things that and like you still brought it back to other people.
Yeah.
And like it's very cathartic to have other people instill that into you and to bring that spark back out of you. But like it's the thing that I was kind of harping on is that it is really hard to find the spark without the help of other people anymore. Like when you get to a point in this where like the self-motivation of it isn't enough, like there are a lot of times where like it's part of why I don't enjoy the tech side as much anymore. I'm only interacting with people on the tech side, like at least on the user end, when they're their most frantic or upset because they have a problem that I need to solve for them. Like the sales side, which is meeting people at the beginning of their process of opening a cafe, or meeting people when they finally have gotten to the point where they're excited enough to bring in a new roaster or switch over or something. Like you see people in that inspiration phase and in that spark. And a lot of times it is really hard when you're in just the motions of doing what your job is, just doing what like you have to get done to find that spark for yourself. Like you need people's inspirations and excitement around you to bring you back up when you've done this for so long.
Yeah, I think during competition season, whether it was working or not, creating a signature beverage, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but just the act of creating something, an idea that you had, and now you're creating this drink, or you're creating a song, or you're creating whatever. The act of creation, that's the sparkle for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I feel like when I'm in that kind of that droning out space, I have to figure out how to create something to get back that sparkle,
Yeah.
But
like, yeah, I think the last time that I felt it for myself and it didn't involve other people, and by other people I mean like it wasn't like someone else's excitement motivated my excitement. Like, dog, it's been years. Like, like I think my time at Salesforce really, like just being like, oh, like I can sit here and like craft my idea of what a program looks like from the ground up. Bet. Like, cause even with like the routine that got me to finals, like I was thinking about everybody else in that process. Like, how do I properly represent everyone that I'm trying to speak for or about at this moment? But like at that time at Salesforce, of just like feeling like, oh, I'm excited. This is my first real opportunity to, without limitations, just build a program from the ground up. And that was exciting. And that brought that like that energy, that bounce in my step again that I hadn't had for a really long time. It's hard to find that 9, 10 years, 20 years into your career, because you've kind of not seen it all, but you've seen enough of it that like it's not new anymore. Like the things that are new ideas about the industry, not new. And they're
not my ideas.
Exactly.
Because I mean, before it was like, I had music, I was creating music with these guys in this band. The band breaks up, I'm still creating music. Now I'm getting into coffee, and the music side is kind of phasing out. Even with DJing, you're creating experiences. And then I started phasing that out. And then I started getting into competitions and creating in this competition space. And then 2016 happens, and it's like, oh, now what?
Exactly.
And then it was like, all right, we're going to create this idea of black and white coffee. And that kind of took off to a point where, okay, we've got some amazing people in the company doing some amazing things for the company. So now I'm in that space of now what, So it always goes back for me. How can I create something to keep that spark going?
Yes,
but damn, dude, we've been
rocking
for a
this
while.
has been that trip was life changing.
Yeah, it was.
And that I think that's what I'll close us off with about that trip is, in my background of like poetry and theater and all of these different routes that I've gone in my life. I've been a part of a lot of experiences that people did before me. And then as I would ask advice or be like, hey, what can I expect? So on and so forth, they'll talk about going to this was life-changing. Being a part of this changed my life. And you're going to feel so much different coming out of this and yada, yada, yada. Right? And for that exact reason, I went into this trip. Well, that reason plus all of the nonsense I was dealing with prior to leaving. I went into this trip with very low expectations on purpose. Like I did not want to set myself up and go, this is going to be a life-changing experience for whatever, because I didn't want to manufacture that artificially. I wanted whatever I felt in that space to be what it was. And it absolutely was. I have, for very obvious reasons that you know, didn't even really talk about our time at the Rwanda Genocide Memorial.
Oh, yeah.
And you remember where my head was that day?
We didn't even talk about that. That was...
I have avoided that in this conversation, and you know why.
Yeah.
But like everything that happened out there felt like it stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like no experience was an isolated experience. Every one of them fed into why the next one meant so much. And then it would all kind of cycle back. And to naturally feel like this was a life-changing experience with some people that I now feel like I'm going to have very long-lasting bonds with, I'm eternally grateful. Like I'm floored by how I left that trip feeling.
Yeah.
So, man, thank you, Bart. Thank you, Renata. I say this all the time. Y'all are doing work that moves mountains.
For real. And that's just the first part of the
just
whole
part one
of the barista exchange. We're going to bring in African baristas from Ethiopia or Rwanda to the U.S. Whether that's in Chicago at Expo or New York at Coffee Festival.
Or to us, you never know.
Yeah,
like we got some discussing to do with them on that. But like that is the work of two people that had an idea and just had something like, hey, this would be cool if blank. And then it's just blossomed into this amazing thing. And it's still in its first iteration.
Yep.
Seeing things like, for example, like what Glitter Cat was year one to where it was by the time it closed down. Seeing what this is in year one of its program.
There were 2 Glitter Cats on that trip.
Exactly.
Yeah. You and Philip.
Yeah. Like, but my point in it being that program grew so well because it grew from, hey, this would be dope if, and then it became this very large thing. Like I want the support to end up behind what Bart and Renata are doing, because where they could take this,
it's huge.
Absolutely change the game.
Yep.
And we need more people with innovative mindsets on how to attack growing the specialty coffee industry, being a part of the conversation, because they're going to bring innovative ways of doing this that no one else would have thought of. Who the hell would have thought of doing a barista exchange program like this? Like, into the places they chose. Like, this is an unparalleled experience, and this was just out of thin air of their thoughts. You bring in other extremely successful, creative people into this process and allow them to have a fingerprint in this as well, and this thing could grow into something like just absolutely monumental.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Thank y'all so much.
Word.
All right. We've been wilding with this episode. We got a lot more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
So we're gonna call it here for this one. Once again, I'm Anthony Ragler.
Flesh Tone Crayon.
Flesh Tone Crayon.
In the house.
Lem Butler. Peace.
2 times. What's up, everyone? 95 Plus Podcast, Lem Butler here. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, GH Grinding and Brewing Solutions. Everything you need to know about grinding and brewing coffee, please reach out to them. They're all about trust, reliability, and innovation. GHGBS.com. Thanks, guys.